think we're ready to maybe move on to 3, feature number 3, which will be.
All right. We're going to talk. Let's talk about some more best practices, and I'll ask the question: how does everyone avoid issues today with your OCSP servers, especially knowing that issues could potentially disrupt your certificate validation process or even potentially compromise the security of your OCSP? Curious. We know it's so hard to stay on top of all of these knowledge base articles, KB articles, and even published support articles, especially if they require you staying on top of compatibility with OSs and mitigation steps and all of that. Well, one thing here at PKI Solutions that I'm proud of to be part of is that our product team works so closely with our professional services experts like Mark Cooper, like Jake, to ensure that we're on top of all of the relevant published supported articles that impact PKI. And again, I say this, we do it, so you don't have to. We hear constantly from you and your challenges, especially when it comes to OCSP. Which is why in Spotlight, we now include the detection of unknown OCSPs so that you have the confidence that your OCSP environments are configured not only to recognize if a certificate is revoked, but whether or not the CA actually issued the certificate being queried by the reliant party. And so I'm curious. I know how we did it. I know I'd love for Mike to show you how we would accomplish this and how we did it. Mike, I'm going to hand it back over to you.
Sure thing. Thanks, Nick. So Microsoft's OCSP implementation, if you want to enable what we call deterministic OCSP, it requires that you maintain a directory of empty files named after the serial numbers of valid certificates that were issued by the CA. Our Spotlight agent continuously monitors the configuration of your OCSP configurations to ensure that these directories are specified and that they actually exist. And speaking of staying on top of documentation, we should really talk about Microsoft KB 754 and how it impacts certificate-based client authentication in AD. When this goes into effect, all client authentication certificates will need to include a new extension that specifies the SID of the identity it was issued to. Now, we've addressed this in Spotlight in 2 ways. First, our best practices engine continuously monitors all assigned certificate templates and alerts if any templates containing a client authentication type EKU is not configured to require the SID extension to be populated in the cert. Secondly, our best practices engine also monitors the configuration of your enterprise CAs and alerts if the CA is explicitly configured to disable the SID extension. With these checks in place and alerts addressed, inoperable client authentication certificates essentially can't be generated.
Thanks for bringing that up. That almost forgot that one, right, Mike?
Yeah.